Steven, it's a new year, it's 2022, and I've got a big, fat, juicy wish that it's going to be a year full of fulfillment here on You Can't Disappoint a Podcast. What do you think?
I've got a big old sauce-drenched wish myself, just slapped on my plate here in front of me, and I'm going to dig in to a whole nother year of You Can't Disappoint a Podcast.
It's going to be a big year full of winding down our rewatch of Community and moving on to whatever comes next for us, and to be a part of it with us. There's so many ways to show your support.
We've got a big old warm pool here for you. Come on and slip on your skivvies and slide down the ladder and dive in. How can they get in this pool, Zach?
If you put your toe in the water and it feels fine and you want to get waist deep, come join us on Patreon, patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. It's the way to support this show and to help us move it forward as we move into the future. It's also the way to get more of us every week with our live pre-show every week, You Can't Dis a Pre-Show, and all kinds of Patreon exclusive content coming all the time, Steven.
We'd love for you to support us on Patreon, but you can also hang out with us free of charge over on Twitter at You Can't Dis a Pod. We are also on Instagram at Can't Disappoint Podcast, and we're on Facebook and YouTube under the whole name of the show, You Can't Disappoint a Podcast.
Also, if you would like to be a part of the show every week, you can email us at can'tdisappointpodcast@gmail.com. To be a part of next week's podcast, write us in your trivia, your favorite funny moment, and your episode MVP for next week's episode of Community, and we'll read it out loud on the show.
If you like what we do here, leave a review wherever you leave reviews about podcasts.
Yeah, maybe like the Sharper Image product review site. Leave us a review there.
There's like a box full of sticky notes at my post office. Write a review and leave it there.
I hope you guys are jumping on board with us and you're ready to traverse 2022 with me and Steven. What do you say? Let's rip our way into another episode of You Can't Disappoint a Podcast.
Cannonball!
I'll put like a big splat.
Yeah!
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a bad dean, okay?
No, that's what you always do. That's not a real apology.
Jeff?
I bet shut up. Go flashback and cut to stuff. And you say you're sorry for buying a giant hand and letting it sit around until we had to deal with it. And say it without crying.
No! I'm an adult! And you can't make me not cry. You're all a bunch of bullies. And I will say I'm sorry however I want. And by the way, I'm not sorry. It's my giant hand, and I love it. We're not selling it.
Steven, we've never been in an RV together, but we have gone on a couple road trips together. How do you think we are as road trip partners? Do you think we work as well as a team, or do you think it's disaster in Act 1?
I don't think that we necessarily work well as a team in
What are
any
you saying?
instance, but I think that we
In
do have a lot of fun.
Not even in this thing here where we are the team?
I don't know, Zach.
I
think
work
that
well as a
we
team either.
we
You're
make
right.
each other laugh a lot, but are we really efficient and
We make each
quote,
other
unquote,
laugh a lot,
good?
but I also think we've given each other a fair few gray hairs.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have to say, Zach,
Uh-huh.
as much as I never want to be in a car for that long, I really enjoyed our trip to and from Florida. I think we listened to some fun music. We played some fun billboard games. We
Picked up a couple hitchhikers.
Yeah, they were a hoot. Only like half of them tried to kill us, and only one of them really robbed us. And he was nice enough to leave us the keys.
Yeah, he didn't take the phone, just the charger, so that was nice.
Just the charger. So we had a little bit to go.
You're right.
But I think we have a
like a
blast.
long road trip, but it's very important that you're with a good road trip partner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful to be in a relationship with someone that's fun to go on long drives with. I'm thankful to have.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really fun when you have friends. I like a long road trip with a good friend, but if you are in any way not completely comfortable with the other person, by like hour 2, you are out of stuff to say.
Yeah. I've been, so the longest road trip was ours, I think, definitely. But I also was on a really long one for a friend's bachelor party. 5 of us piled into one normal-sized car. 5 grown men.
I would
into a
be
normal-sized
literally
car.
afraid for my life, because you know that is a distracted driver.
Yeah, we drove, and it was one person driving the whole time. We drove from Indianapolis after a bus ride where I arrived at like 2 a.m. to Indy, got off the bus, got into a car, and we drove from Indianapolis to Boston, Massachusetts, which is not a short trip.
That's an interesting place to have a bachelor party.
Yeah, it was.
Well, hey, let's kick off the show. It's good to talk about whatever that was. Welcome, everyone, to You Can't Disappoint a Podcast. We're here. We're back. Hi, I'm Space Elder Zach, and perhaps you remember earlier when it seemed we drove through a skunk patch.
Aw. I'm Steven, and...
3 weeks earlier. Let's cut to us 3 weeks earlier.
3 weeks ago, what were we doing?
I don't remember what I was doing.
1, 2,
earlier
you were
today.
you were maybe just getting back from vacation 3 weeks ago.
So Steven was probably pooping out of several holes.
At that time, I think I was doing some pooping.
Well, that's no
Did I go to
fun.
the ER yet that day? That might be the day that I went to the ER.
Let's not... Well, I would love to cut to 3 weeks earlier, but maybe for Steven's sake, we shouldn't.
You mean cutting to where a doctor stuck her finger in my asshole, Zach?
That
and
does
poked
sound kind of
around?
fun. Okay, everybody, you have to believe. I don't care if you're driving, listening to the podcast. We're all going to close our eyes, and we're going to cut to 3 weeks ago butthole Steven, okay? You ready?
Yeah, and everyone make sure that when we remember this, you remember it the right way, where I didn't wince in pain and cry a little when she left the room. I was manly about it, I was quiet, and I smiled at her and shook her hand.
Let's start off the show, as always, by shouting out our $10 and up patrons over at patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast. Those people are Danny M. Lugo, Mary Baker Budisa, Brian Thurman, Planeswalker Prez, Emmy West, and Brendant. Yes, you know how like sometimes the nickname is in quotations. Brendant Folkemer.
Wow.
People we love very much. We're really glad those people support us. We couldn't do it without you, and we hope you're as excited to move on to the next thing with us because, boy, do we need those dollars.
You know, I'm really grateful for our group of patrons, Zach. There have been some since day one, and they're the newcomers,
And
like
we do
Brendan
favor the day
Falcon
ones.
Tamer.
Of course we favor the day ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They're higher up in
I
our
am
world.
legally obligated to favor the day ones. It was in my contract.
No, I think the fact that anybody supports small content creators with even a couple bucks, because look, I know how hard it is to sometimes commit $5 a month to something that can be hard to plan for. So anyone who's willing to support small content creators, let alone us, sometimes, and I think it's just because we're people and we have imposter syndrome. Sometimes I feel like, are we like getting away with something by people sending us money? So I really do appreciate it. And if you'd like to support us, I think we definitely have enough stuff over on Patreon to make it worth those $5. Steven and I just got in a tizzy over Weezer on You Can't Disagree Show this week. You can find that and all the other episodes of You Can't Disagree Show over on Patreon. We just recorded our podcast on the series finale of Cowboy Bebop for Brokeback Bebop. So check that out over on the Patreon. And we were just talking right before we started recording about the future of the Patreon and all the ideas we have as we move things along. So I'm excited for all of that.
Let's all
and I
flash
hope you check it out.
forward to 30 acceptable increments of time in the future. I don't remember the exact line from the episode.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Patreon. We're here to discuss Season 11, Episode 19 of Modern Family. Steven Bott, how are you?
I'm good, Zach Bott. I really think that I'm excited to dig into how weird
That's really
kids
funny.
look when
So
they get
today
older.
we're here to talk about a great episode. I'm just assuming I interrupt you even more than. When we got to shout out our dear beloved community papa,
the
fake
big firm hand that grasps our throats every morning.
The fake oversized hand, slightly formed into a fist that got us through some really tight passages.
Yeah. Nothing clears the way like Daddy's fist.
Yeah. Sometimes, when you're a little kid and you just got a little bit of constipation, nothing quite breaks up those duty rocks like Daddy's iron plexiglass fist.
Sometimes it's a shot to the tummy to just squeeze everything out, and sometimes Papa's got to strap on his construction miner's hat.
Right.
And with the little light on the front, you got to turn that bad boy on and go in deep.
Right.
Gotta get our boys out.
So thanks, at Communities on Twitter, for all the support throughout our community journey. I'm sure you can't wait for it to come to a bitter end. How you doing, Steven? It's good to talk to you. It feels like it's been a minute since we've gotten together to talk about an episode of Community, to really do an episode of our podcast proper, especially after the kind of looser outing last week. It's good to be back and to hang out with you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be a little more cognizant today.
Little more.
Only
truly
slightly.
a little more.
Truly a little. But last week was a whole lot of fun, and hopefully this
fun.
Week is fun too. I want to pause for a second, Zach. I want to wish a happy birthday to my sister. It's her birthday today. Happy birthday. Well,
so a week ago from
a
today.
week ago was her birthday. Oh, fuck, I really should have wished her birthday.
Well, it's very classic Big Brother
thing,
to offer a huge romantic birthday gesture a week after your sibling's birthday.
Do what I can.
I'm really bad at remembering birthdays. I'm genuinely awful at remembering birthdays. Lily does most of the remembering for me.
Wow.
I know months, I do not know days.
It's a good thing that
your birthday's in February, right?
Oh, come on, Chief.
It's not, is it?
No, I thought you were joking. You talked about my birthday like a week ago to me.
Was it a week ago?
I don't know. Recently. You asked when my birthday was.
I'm telling you, I am telling you that I am that bad at birthdays. It has nothing to do with how much I care about the people I care about. I don't know my family's birthdays. I just know mine and Lily's, and it's because they're 6 days apart.
I was going to say, you guys are pretty close together. Are you also an Aquarius?
Yes.
Wow. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
I'd like to talk about the movie that I saw this week. I think everybody would be well pressed to check it out. I saw a spooky movie called Barbarian. It's a smaller budget movie done by a comedian, one of the guys from the Whitest Kids You Know comedy troupe. He wrote and directed a horror movie called Barbarian, and it's getting a lot of attention, and rightfully so. It was fucking horrifying, and I'm not a huge horror movie guy, so I both thought it was a really good movie and very, very scary. So check it out, and don't look up a goddamn thing about it.
I don't know,
don't watch
Zach.
the trailer,
I've
just go
seen
see it.
Pretty much every episode of Dave the Barbarian, and I didn't think it was that scary.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly what I was expecting out of the live-action Disney Plus Dave the Barbarian remake. I didn't see, was it Chuckles the Silly Piggy? I didn't see him anywhere. Thanks.
There's a pretty fun game on DisneyChannel.com for that show.
I remember really specifically the episode of Dave the Barbarian where, like, the princess character had a giant talking zit.
Yeah, me too. Nice. Good times.
So, but that's not for right now to talk about. They'll hear about that in a couple weeks on the 4th edition of America's Next Top Zach and Steven Rewatch Podcast when we truly discuss Dave the Barbarian at length.
Have I been watching anything, Zach?
I don't know.
Let's see.
Lily and I started watching Atlanta from the beginning. I've only ever seen the first season, and we started at the first season, but I'm remembering how much I really loved the first season of the show and really excited to go back and watch what I haven't seen.
Atlanta is a show I like very much. I'm excited to watch the final season, which is airing right now. I have been watching
the show. Donald Glover, come on the show,
please. Welcome to Wrexham is still good. Little Demon, the Danny DeVito show.
Dan Harmon, Danny DeVito show.
Dan Harmon, Danny DeVito. Yeah, it's I will keep watching it.
That's a pause. That's a bit of a pause.
But it's definitely not like revolutionary or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be funny.
Okay.
The last episode was probably the most okay one that I'd seen thus far, but it's good. Like, it's not bad at all, but it's nothing like earth-shattering. Like, you're not really missing out by not watching it, but if you need something to watch, it's okay to watch.
Well, that's the television report with Stephen Baker. Well, anything else we need to dive into before we get into this week's episode of Community? We only get to talk about this show 4 more times like this, and that's just wild to me.
I know. I guess we better shake our tail feathers, try not to flood our engines, and get down to business.
All right, well, Steven, let's dive right in. Today we're talking about the 10th episode of the final season of Community. It is Basic RV Repair and Palmistry. This episode was directed by the great J. Chandrasekhar, who previously directed Mixology Certification, Intro to Political Science, Applied Anthropology and Culinary Arts, The First Chang Dynasty, Advanced Documentary Filmmaking, Introduction to Teaching, Basic Story, and Basic Email Security. This is his final directing credit for the series.
That's
as
a
we're
whole
wrapping this bad boy up. He did a ton.
Yeah, that's a pretty
Good episodes.
Thick
Yes.
list that he's gotten to be a part of.
This episode was written by Dan Guterman. He only wrote one other episode. It was season 5's Bondage and Beta Male Sexuality. Not as great of a resume, but working on Community at all is a good task.
It's impressive.
It's a good get to have on your resume. This episode originally aired on Yahoo Screen on May 12th, 2015.
Wow, that I remember May 12th was a week before our variety show, my senior year of high school.
You're serious?
I'm serious.
Is that the one that you wrote a skit for and didn't get the credit that was due?
Correct. The band director took all the credit. It was pretty funny, too.
That he took credit? That is kind of funny. Let's do some trivia. I've got 5 questions for you.
Well,
this
isn't
week.
that interesting, Zachary?
It is.
Because I have 5 questions for you.
All right, who's going first? You make.
Why
the
don't
call.
you go first, Zach?
All right.
I went first in Bebop today, so why don't you go?
How many feet tall is the giant hand?
13?
19. Idiot.
God damn it. How long has the Dean been driving?
25 years.
25 years. You got it.
And I've never seen less gas in my life. How many tow truck drivers within how many miles are in the same parade?
I think all 3 drivers within a 200-mile radius.
That's a bit of traveling to get to a parade.
Yeah, that's really far.
It's a big parade for Armed Forces Day.
Yeah. Speaking of Armed Forces Day, what month is Armed Forces Day in?
March?
Ooh, I think it's May.
May? I think you're right.
It's just in the shadow of Memorial Day.
I like Abed's line. It's funny how we remember the one that is about remembering or
Yeah.
memory or whatever. My turn?
Mm-hmm.
What movie does Stand-Up Dean call Not a Date Movie?
That was my next question. Hotel Rwanda.
Never seen it. Should I?
It's got Don Cheadle. It's very, very good. Hard to watch.
I like a Cheadle.
Yeah. It's very good, though.
Your turn.
What does the Dean need to cry more?
Some Pedialyte, which
Some
Steven has been drinking
Pedialyte.
this whole time.
Gotta keep your fluids in you.
I get that it's good for you, but it's upsetting that you drink it like that. I find it so gross.
I like the strawberry flavor a lot.
It's
Yummy.
kind of tastes to me like if you mixed Gatorade and cum.
I'm waiting to hear the downside.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
What departments does the dean predict could have used the giant hand?
The art department.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go out of order, but the woodworking. If you cut off one of the fingers.
Yes.
And the middle one would have had to be biology.
Yeah, good job.
Hey yo. Hey
That makes
yo.
your turn, or are you done? Do you have another
I've got one more. What was Chang covered in 3 days after the incident? Feathers. You have one more?
And the reason I'm covered in feathers is because... Cut away. Where is the husband going to put the giant watch at the end?
The garage.
Yeah. That was just, I needed one more question.
That was a
That's what I
really
wrote down.
funny... Like, I laughed pretty hard at that whole thing.
I don't think we did too bad on trivia.
No.
Let's see if that continues, because we've got a behemoth load of email trivia to get through this week, don't
Got
we?
quite a few. Our first one is from our good friend, Brandon Brintant Fulcomer Falcon Tamer. Hey guys, I like this one. There's a lot of funny moments, and the end tag is absolutely nuts. My only gripes are the Abed 3 weeks earlier flashbacks. Happens way too much and kind of regresses Abed as a character at this
That's
point.
like the best part of the episode, but all right, Brendan.
And Jeff assaulting Abed for the second time in 3 episodes. The interactions
Sure.
of the group in the RV are great, though. Trivia. How many children is it imply that Elroy has? 2.
Two.
Those 2 Very social.
Biracial people in his picture.
Yeah. What holiday is preventing the group from being rescued? That'd be Armed Forces Day, Brendan. Gotta wake up pretty early to get one over on us. According to the Dean's stand-up act, what should elbows be called? Do you say arm knees?
Arm knees. Yep.
That's great.
Hey, here's a joke for you. Where does General Washington keep his armies?
Where?
In his sleeveys.
Hey-o!
Thank you.
What does Elroy think would improve hiking boots? A compass in the toe.
And Lily was like, actually, they make compasses that you can put there if you want.
I want the boots with the compass already, not a compass that I can then attach to my already purchased boots. That's 2 purchases, Lil. Not everyone lives on your high golden throne and can afford both hiking boots and a compass.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
I use 5-in-1 wash in the shower. It does everything. It's toothpaste. It's my dad when I need it to be. I like consolidation.
One of the 5 is that it can be my emergency contact.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. That was important to me. What is Chang covered in when he meets back up with the group? Feathers. Brandon. Listen to our questions
you been listening?
first.
Jeez.
Brandon. We got them all right.
Okay.
Favorite funny moments. There's a lot in this one, mostly centered around the Dean. He refused to take any blame for the giant hand when he bought it, tells the group he's an adult so they can't make him not cry,
His
and calls
breakdown
Annie
there
a
is so
sociopath for her fake apology. Jim Rash is awesome. Yeah, it was so
Yes.
funny. Also, Space Elder Britta and Giant Hand Dad. Yeah, it was real great.
All great.
MVP. And good argument here. I'll go with the Dean, but Frankie was a close second. Some of her reactions to the group's weirdness are hilarious, and she cleverly figures out how to help Abed at the end. Thanks, guys. Brandon, I think this is a great Frankie episode.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Frankie has just fit into this season so well. And there are times when I don't even really think of her as an MVP when I should, because she just makes so much sense. She just fits in so well that she doesn't stand out all the time to me.
It's true. All right. Well, this is an email from our good long time friend.
How long?
Jeffrey Malone. You remember Jeffrey Malone?
Yeah,
well, you shouldn't, because Jeffrey
long-time
says,
friend.
"Hey, Zach and Steven. Wow,
Long-time
there's so
friend.
many community podcasts these days. Community's like italicized, so nice use of however you did that.
That is how you would do it, right?
And this is my first time sending my thoughts to you guys. Let's get to it. Good job, Zach, not folding under pressure. We haven't talked to Jeffrey yet.
No, I've talked many times to Jeffrey, just not on this particular program. He knows what he's done.
Oh, Jeffrey, you're in trouble now. My review of basic RV repair and palmistry. I give this episode the finger.
Whoa there, Jeffrey. The idea is that we are here to review basic RV repair and palmistry. You're to provide filler little bits of mayhem.
But
let's go ahead and hear his blog post. Sorry, Jeff. You seem great.
Okay, this next sentence is a doozy.
Okay.
I give this episode the finger, but which finger exactly? I'll never tell. Did I deliver I'll never tell as Dean Pelton or Brittany Murphy? R.I.P. I'll never tell.
That was a lot to unpack. Let's delve further.
Trivia: how many galactic time units later was the scene with the space elders? That would be a
3.
crisp 3.
It was 3 every time it was anything.
Wasn't it 30?
Was it 30?
Wasn't it 30 time seconds or time?
I just thought it was 3 unit of time, so it could be however.
Maybe. We'll see who's right, because Jeffrey didn't give us an answer.
Yeah, we'll never know.
MVP: Space Elders, Abed, and Frankie. Clutch, I like it.
Okay.
And then funny moments, definitely the end tag.
Yeah,
well,
it was
thanks, Jeffrey Malone. If you want to follow Jeffrey on Twitter,
no, we don't. What the? We're not plugging Jeffrey's Twitter.
But he's a writer/editor. He has a podcast.
Of course he does. You know, I feel like I'm being too mean on Jeffrey. I really appreciate you writing in and emailing us, but you did kind of start the email by putting us down for not being an original idea, And apparently you've also ended the email with your biography.
I have his
for us
phone
to
number.
share.
I can leak it. Can we dox Jeffrey right now?
I think we should dox Jeffrey.
All right, stay tuned till the end of the episode. We're going to give you all his info.
You read off his phone number, and I'll edit it so we give out 2 random digits. So
Oh my
people
God,
can
really?
Figure it out from there, I'm sure.
Okay. Jeffrey Malone, writer, editor. You can find him at 5330. He has my favorite number somewhere in his phone number. That's nice.
Which one's your favorite? I'll use that one. Oh, I was thinking it would be one number.
I know, that's too
maybe?
many digits.
That's too much of it. What do you say? Do we give Jeffrey a call live on the show?
Like, hey, Jeffrey, you piece of shit. What the hell, man? You just now writing in. We've been doing this for 6 fucking seasons.
I'm not quite
Too busy
confident.
writing and editing, Jeffrey?
I'm not quite confident enough to give Jeff a call at this moment, but part of me does want to gang up on him and call him.
He has
and
2
ask
websites.
Him
There's
the answer to.
.com and
Stop plugging
.com.
him. We're not plugging Jeff.
J Money's blog.
Jeff will plug you when you become a patron.
Yeah, true.
I don't trust this
The
guy.
mission
Can we move
statement for J Money's blog is Jeff J Money Malone's self-styled expert thoughts on movies, TV, music, and the rest of pop culture. Let's see Jeffrey Malone.
That's some pretty big claims.
Oh, photo credit, Robert Malone. There's a lot of words here. Good for you, Jeffrey. Thanks for writing in.
Don't come
I
back.
hope none of what I just said stays in. But thanks,
Which
Jeff.
part? No, I'm not cutting anything but 5 of the phone numbers.
You're gonna keep the websites? Can you
No,
bleep out the
I
website
won't
names?
keep the
Yeah.
websites. No, you don't get free sway anywhere around here.
Yeah,
Jeffrey.
don't say that unless somebody's going to pay you. Thanks,
Yeah.
Jeffrey. Our next email is from the biggest Jeffrey in all of our Malones, our proud papa communities over on Twitter. He says, "Hi, guys. This episode was meant to save money, but creating an RV and having the inside shots meant creating an RV you could take apart. It didn't work. I know this episode isn't high on a lot of lists, but Abed's monologue is kind of perfect, and he is my MVP. And the in tag is weirdly funny. Have a great one, guys. Communities, Matt."
Thanks, Matt.
We'll talk about it. This has been like definitely in the top half of my season 6 episodes. I
really like this episode too. I think it's in the middle, but it's a really enjoyable episode.
Yeah. Trivia. Where does Elroy say that Jeff is standing? In his house?
In his living room, bedroom, and kitchen, I think.
I'll buy it. Where are they stranded? I don't remember the
they
name.
say the name
it
of the
once.
street when they're calling the roadside assistance.
You have a bunch of crazy ladies in that RV.
Start with M. Was it Murray?
Murray?
My
Sure,
guess
I'll
is
go.
Murray.
Murray Road.
Show me Murray.
Show. Top 10 answers on the board. Show
I
me
say,
Murray.
I say show me.
Yeah.
You don't say show me. I say show me. Just stop saying it.
According to Space Elder Abed, what do we do with things that come near us?
I don't know.
We grab it, right?
Well,
Like babies, they always grab the finger.
sure. I think you're right.
Okay, Jeff is standing. You're standing in my living room, kitchen, and bedroom. Nice
Ayo.
job, Zach. It is Moffat Pass, but I'm gonna give it to Murray Road.
I was close. I had the right idea. I actually think I'm right. We'll have to double check that one.
According to Space Elder Abed, we grab it, hoping to control it, taste it, jam it into another child's eye. Nice.
No
I never
comment.
jammed anything into anybody.
Yeah, no
else's
comment.
eye. I only jam stuff in my
I'm
own
by
eyes.
law prohibited to discuss jamming things in children's eyes.
That's
at
fair.
this venture.
I get you. Thanks, Dad. Next up, we got an email from Artie.
Artie.
Brr, 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 brr. Okay, all right. Now, Artie does address what we did last, which famously I did say that I hope the Queen of England rots in hell.
Yes.
So
you did.
let's see how Artie, our resident UK analyst,
Guys, if you
has
don't
to
listen
say.
to our bonus episodes, last week where we got drunk and talked about It's Always Sunny was unhinged and very fun. Go back and listen to it.
Danny, who has only seen like a handful of episodes, isn't really super into It's Always Sunny. She even found it hilarious. So
there you go.
You know. Hey, Zach and Steven. Apparently the 13th anniversary of the pilot episode was a few days ago. I think back to where I was 13 years ago, and at that point I hadn't heard of Community. I don't think it would have been available to watch in the UK at the same time it was available in the US. But I know that 17-year-old Artie really would have appreciated a show like this in 2009. Also, I just listened to your Always Sunny episode. I will admit that I haven't really made an effort to watch this show since an ex tried to introduce me to it, and the episode they showed me was just
That's
odd.
fair.
That's fair.
I'm assuming here, but white dudes sure do love to make people that they're trying to have sex with watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Zach did show me that show. But if that ends up getting the most votes, I will do my best to get into it. It must be worth watching if recommended by someone who watches at least 3 other shows I rate highly, including the other shows you've covered so far on America's Next Top Zach and Steven Rewatch podcast.
Thanks for getting the title right. That
Good
means
job.
a lot.
I couldn't do that. Gun to my head, I wouldn't have gotten that right. But on to this week's Community episode. Okay, so no gripes with me over... Oh, we'll see. I think we come back to it. Basic RV Repair in Palmistry is such a weird episode for me. Sometimes I mildly enjoy watching it, and other times I feel like I've zoned out watching it. On my last rewatch, I felt it was overall a pointless episode and only exists for the sake of the weirdly dark end tag, which despite being incredibly funny, always leaves me wondering, how the f*** did someone come up with this as a storyline? What
love
were they
it, though.
smoking? And can I have some?
I love how stupid it is that... No, even though we keep cutting back to what maybe led to the story, it's just that the dean bought a giant hand on Craigslist, and it's just that they're stuck in an RV somewhere with it, and that works plenty for me.
Yeah. The entire episode before it is, by comparison, a letdown. Most of the characters are unlikable throughout, and I guess as it's a bottle episode, it feels like not much is happening beyond everyone being passive-aggressive towards each other. Despite not being enthralled by the episode, I do end up mumbling extra thick straps to myself for days after each rewatch. I enjoyed the Dean's meltdown in the cold open, even though he becomes a petulant child later on. And I also enjoyed Elroy throughout. My episode MVP, however, has to be Space Elder Britta with her goofy fist pump at the end.
That is funny. And her
I like when Britta doesn't just
face.
get shit on, yeah, and when she can actually just be funny for a bit. And she
I mean, they're
gets shit
kind
on.
of shitting on her a little bit.
Hope you have a pleasant day and week ahead. Over here in the UK, we're supposed to be mourning a rich old lady whose family was, and still is, complicit in the violent colonization of all except 22 countries on this planet, and paid off the pedophile son's victim at the taxpayer's expense. Or paid off her pedophile son's victim at the taxpayer's expense.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and her funeral cost £6 billion during a cost of living crisis and just before a winter fuel crisis. And because it's her funeral today, hospital appointments countrywide have been canceled, including those for cancer patients, and food banks have had to close out of respect, and people have been arrested and face a year in prison for protesting against the monarchy. This is fine, everything is fine, Artie. So as I said, may she rot in hell.
Can I just say, as someone who completely agrees but isn't educated to the point of being able to list all of those things, Artie, that was tremendously well said.
Yeah.
Thank you for listing all that and letting it be a part of our show. Good on you. Well said.
Yeah. Have fun at the funeral, take a selfie.
Enjoy your day off. I hope your chemo wasn't on
I hope
Thursday.
it wasn't like misconstrued as me like saying R.I.P. Because I've shared on my story a picture of her corgis at the funeral, only because in my head I'm like, I really hope they pee right in the middle.
Have you seen the thing where the queen made it known that she didn't want her corgis to outlive her? And so now there's memes of like, are they going to kill the corgis? Are they going to bury her?
That's why they're there. They're throwing them in the casket.
Yeah.
Also,
thanks,
badass on Meghan Markle to wear the same outfit that Diana wore to that one funeral. It's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Artie,
the Royals,
we're thinking
right?
of you in
They're
this
just
time
like us, huh?
as somebody who is
They're just a couple of normal
minority
guys,
in the country,
just like you and me.
that celebrates people
Gotta
that have
love those
oppressed
Royals, am I right?
my people for
gotta
years
love
and
them
continue to. I know it
not
sucks
question
to
them
have a
and
bunch
just
of
love
people celebrate somebody who sucks a lot.
And it's just really
so.
fun because there's all the fancy parties and there's like
You'll be back.
And there's
This I know.
There's the guys with the silly hats that'll fucking kill you if you try to make them laugh. It's just cute.
I saw this thing where like
Love those royals.
Hamilton the musical shared on his Instagram
Right.
account like RIP, and people like, have you even seen your own play? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. But thanks, Artie. You're a star.
Hey, it's a
If
real
you have a
shame the
website or
Queen
Twitter you
died.
want us to promote, or like your phone number, we'll put it out
Gone
there.
way too soon. You'll be remembered.
God save, yeah.
Here's to King Charles. Is it Charles? Is the
Yeah.
Queen
Also,
now?
that little side whore of Camilla is now the like Queen Regent or whatever. I've only seen Game of Thrones, so I don't know how monarchies actually work.
Here's to King Charles. Here's to another 100 years.
100 years, Rick and Morty.
Yep.
All right, now I'm opening a Microsoft Word file from Robbie Sherman. That's going to be our next email here today.
He
Hello.
really wanted to make sure that it was a secure document. that
Although I
made its
only
way
have
to us.
access to reading, I cannot make edits, so you know this is the real deal.
Well, why would you
hello?
edit someone's email?
Right, I do it all the time, Zach. Robbie Sherman from Conversations with Robbie Sherman and 6 Seasons in a Podcast here,
Check it
and I'm
out.
very interested in
I'm
hearing
happy
what you have
to
to say
plug
about
anything
this
Robbie
episode,
would like us
as
to
I
plug.
find it one of the most contentious of the entire series, despite the never-endingly funny sight of a giant, bodiless arm and hand. Okay, now you may go. I'm not allowed to edit, which means I cannot stop mid-sentence.
I don't think you understand what editing is. Or what reading is.
The structure of the episode threw me off several times before, but I've come to appreciate the humor it finds in the relatable situation of being stuck inside a small space with people who are your friends, but whose quirks are borderline incompatible, and everyone is stuck in a situation where they have nothing to distract themselves from. Any notes? Any thoughts, Zach?
I'm just marveled at the writing of this email. I think Robbie's doing great.
God damn it, I'm going to jail!
Maybe he should host the podcast instead.
The bitterness still yields funny moments and lines, though. Although, for this, like, eloquently written email, he
Right.
did say though as THO, as if he is a 22-year-old on Twitter. And I love the irritation at the Dean's terrible stand-up attempts. Choice lines include the delivery of, why do they call them elbows? Why not armies? He says arm knees, according to the Hulu subtitles there. So if you're not using
Come on.
subtitles like Zach doesn't, you're sure to get the line wrong.
Get your head out of your ass, Robbie.
Yeah.
You were
Heart
doing
attacks
so
run in my
well.
family, and you people aren't worth it. That was good. I
Yeah.
feel that.
It was a pretty
Jeff's
good Elroy
line-
episode.
Yeah, I like Elroy. Way to make this about justifying your unmarketable sensibility. And the Frankie's line, I'm quoting here. Whatever moment you were in the day. Whatever
Are
moment
you?
you
You're
were
quoting here.
in the day you got on the internet and bought a giant hand, I am proud to remain outside until I die.
Yeah, that's funny.
Thanks for
Gosh,
your
Frankie
hard
is
work,
great.
gentlemen. Enjoying the show and keep up the good work. 6 seasons in a movie. Wow, thanks so much, Robbie. Now, Robbie Sherman, I really appreciate you writing in, but if you think for one goddamn second that I don't know that
jeez.
you're Rob Schraub incognito trying to weasel your way into
Come
this
on, Schraub.
podcast, boy,
you can't
Schraub,
Sherman a Schraub. You just can't do it.
my old
Don't you
nemesis,
try to
Robbie
Sherman your
Schraubby.
Schraub on our podcast, Robbie.
Yeah, no Sherman around here. Thanks, Robert.
Is that all the emails, or do we still have like 5 left?
I think that's all of them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, great. That was great, guys.
That was the episode.
We only have a few episodes left of Community, so follow us on Twitter at YouCan'tDisAPod to keep up to date with when we next need emails. You've only got a couple more chances, and we want you to be a part of our show while you still can.
Yeah, as much as we absolutely shit on all the people that write into us other than Artie, although to be fair, Artie's first couple emails, she had to sit through me making a very, very
Everyone
crass-
gets a hazing period.
Yeah.
Everyone gets a hazing period. It's with love.
Brendan, you're almost on the other side. Only 6 more episodes, and you'll finally...
If I ever hear the name Jeffrey Malone in my life, I swear to God.
But it does mean, like, the world to us that people actually take the time to write in and listen to the show.
Knowing that they're going to be berated by us because
Yeah.
of it? Yeah, it does mean
Yeah,
a lot.
it really does make me really happy, and let us know that there's at least someone who enjoys this other than the two of us.
That might be a stretch.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Well, Steven, you know what time it is, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Favorite funny moment.
Everyone, it is time to find out, as a nation in mourning, the death of our dear, sweet Queen Elizabeth II. It's time to find out, did Stephen watch the episode this week?
Did Stephen watch the episode this week, didn't he? Isn't it? Tuesday.
You done? You finished?
I got one more.
Let's hear it.
No, you go ahead.
It doesn't work for you unless it's interrupting me.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, we're gonna find out.
Corgi! I'm done.
How are you feeling this week about recapping today's kind of bottle episode? You know, do you think that's gonna make it easier?
I do. I think that I'll be okay as long as I can get the story beats. I mean, am I going to get every little detail? No. But, I'm just going to have realistic expectations. I'm in a state of mourning right now.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel about, during this 20 seconds, me eating an entire string cheese? Do you feel fine about that?
I can't see how it wouldn't help.
You feel okay about that? Yeah, I'll be distracted, so maybe it'll help you.
Remember that time I didn't press start for like 10 seconds? And you got really confused, and I still let it go to 20?
Did I do well that time?
No. You panicked with the extra time.
You guys should listen to Brokeback Bebop over on Patreon. A lot of fun. Steven, are you ready? I've got my cheese stringed. I've got the clock up. Are you ready for the countdown?
I'm ready.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
3 weeks ago, psych, never mind, we're on an RV. Dean bought a giant hammer, to go sell it to some guy. Everyone's stuck in the RV. Oh no, we're out of gas. Never seen so little gas. Abed keeps trying to flashback, but it doesn't work because this is the flashback from the future. Dean falls off the trailer with the hand and it breaks. Then everyone's mad at everyone and Abed gets him out after Frankie helped him. Jeff hit him, was a dick, but then everything was okay in the end.
Sorry, I'm still cheesing it.
It's okay.
I'll edit out all my cheese squishes, but I am going to finish this.
Keep the squish.
Every time I make a cheese squish noise, I'll replace it with another number from Jeffrey Malone's phone number.
But in a random order.
Okay. I was a lot more focused on the eating of the stringed cheese than your telling of the episode. You kind of jumbled a lot of stuff out without having any type of cohesive narrative. I don't think we really got to an ending.
I said everything was all right in the end.
I didn't catch that part. If I'm being
That
honest,
was the last
I'm gonna say a B- for because who cares?
Zach, I actually did pretty well this week. When you listen back in editing, you're gonna be like, "Wow, I should have given Steven a solid B+ this week." But it's okay.
If I listen back and decide that you did better than that, I'll put some kind of indicator on if I feel better, worse, or the same about your showing here.
Okay, thanks.
All right, well, now that you've truly earned a B-,
know.
let's move on to some favorite funny moments. I wrote down quite a few, so let's just rapid fire. Let's get this shit
All right, why don't you
firing.
go first, Zach?
Okay. You said this earlier. I have
Age
been driving.
before beauty.
I have
You
been
can
driving.
go ahead and go. I want to hear what you have to say, Zach.
I've been driving for 25 years, and I have never seen so little gas in my life.
I really liked when they closed like the little thing between the front seat and the rest of the RV, and I think it was
yelling from behind
Frankie was like, "Wow, I wonder what they're talking about on the other side," or Annie, whoever that was. I thought that was really funny.
This is a Frankie line when she's talking to someone on the phone, and she says, "I got nothing but fingers and time, pal."
I also liked in that scene where they were between the like partition, and Jeff's like, "Wow, I will never know thanks to these post 2001 security measures." He's like, "I wish I could take over this RV." It was funny. We love a 9/11 joke around here.
From we just love making fun of them national tragedies, don't we?
Yeah,
just love it. This is during one of the flashback scenes. One quick thing, and then you can talk about flashbacks forever. Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned. I liked when they were talking about the tow trucks being stuck in the parade, and they're like, "Oh, you can't just reroute a parade." And Britt is like, "They rerouted Kennedy's parade." Thought that was a funny
Then
line.
Jeff says something like, "Okay, we'll call the FBI, tell them we're gonna assassinate the president, be home by Wheel of Fortune." That was funny. I've got, "If I'm a child, you're a child abuser." Not cool, Annie.
Not cool, Annie. During that same scene, when the dean starts crying, is like, I'm so sorry, I'm a bad dean. And like, no, you're not. You say that all the time. It doesn't count.
Mine is also really the whole dean's apology scene, but what I wrote down from it was, you can't make me not cry. And then he says, it's my giant hand, and I love it, and I'm not selling it. Great dean stuff.
I definitely
Love a
missed
dean
some
fit.
funny stuff because I was really enjoying that chunk of the episode. But I really laughed when Elroy came back and was like, the other side was locked. And they were like, he's like, you missed a lot. And he was like, I'd be lying if I didn't poop. If I said I didn't poop.
I'll go ahead and give the fun fact. What's funny about that is Elroy was missing from a section of the episode because Keith David couldn't show up on set for a day. So they just had his character be standing behind the RV for the scenes they were filming that day.
That's really funny. That's hilarious.
Okay, I thought it was really funny when Abed tases Jeff and then they start doing the extra
dean
thick
tases
straps.
him.
Extra thick straps.
straps.
Maybe I was just hoping Abed tased him because of how mean Jeff is to him in this episode.
Do you know what dance they were doing, Zachary? Because earlier you like referred to it in a way that told me you didn't know what dance it was.
Yeah, I said I like the part where they link legs and jump around.
Yeah, that's
which
the kid in play.
clearly is what?
The kid in play.
The kid in play.
Not kitten play, the kid in, like, and, kid and play, kid and play.
So, do I need little fuzzy fake mice or not?
They help.
Your turn. Give me a line. You got more?
I loved in the in tag, all of it, but when he's like, yeah, that's right, our normal-sized son disappeared.
I think it's really funny when they think the dean was crushed by the hand and then they roll it over and the dean's like, screw you guys, and he runs into the RV. Really funny.
Yeah, that was really funny.
And it goes from, we love you to, we don't love you.
Yeah, I thought that whole bit was just hilarious.
Do you have any more? Are you done?
No, you go for it.
I've got a couple. I'll go for it. Frankie has a line about being stuck outside where people's unvaccinated toddlers run around.
Oh, that was so good.
It was just a really telling, timely line.
Especially after my recent ER visit where there was an unattended to baby running around open mouth
Just
coughing
coughing.
at everyone. Yeah. Didn't cover shit.
I liked the Force Ghosts at the end of the episode. Obviously, Britta doing the fist thing, but just the idea that Abed looks over and there's Force Ghost Frankie, really funny. What else? I've got a couple more still. When Elroy comes out from the other side of the place and he says, I'd be lying if I said I didn't poop.
Oh, you mean the one that I said?
Let's see, what else do I have that Steven didn't cover? Okay, so when it's the montage at the end of the episode and it's 3 weeks later and Chang's covered in feathers and he says, the reason I'm covered in feathers is because, and then it cuts away to the next thing.
So
it was
funny.
a really funny moment. And the last thing, the guy in the in-tag who plays the husband, his name's Matt Besser. He's a really, really funny guy. I like the part when he
I
yells...
didn't know his name, but I like him.
He yells, he's waiting for a better dad with a bigger hand. And his wife just goes, oh. Really? That's what it is? That's what this is?
Then why'd you get the giant watch?
I think this is a pretty funny episode. I think we should get into it. I'm glad
Let's
that
do
you
it.
like it because I know it's been a little bit of a drag the last few weeks.
It's been a drag. Yeah, I'll go out and say it. I like this one better than everything we've seen since maybe robotics.
Wow. Okay.
Maybe.
I might like this episode more than that one too.
Yeah.
And I like that one. This is a good episode. I think it's funny. And like I said before, the idea that they make us not be able to help but ask why are they doing this with this giant hand, but then very quickly it doesn't matter. The dean bought a giant hand on Craigslist. We're all delivering it. We get stuck. Just go with it.
Yeah, and I like that. I think this is it's a different Dan Harmon than we had in season 1, but I think for the better in this episode where it's not always for the better in Community.
What do you mean? I want to hear.
I just think with some of the stories this season, he kind of has worked himself into a circle that I don't care about, and this one he kind of doesn't work himself into a circle, or at least he plots himself in a different place
but
in the circle.
It works in this episode.
Yeah,
like the
I
struggle
like this episode.
of not knowing what to do is kind of the episode in a good way, Whereas some other episodes, like Basic Story, have been about how we don't have a story and it's a bad thing.
Yeah. I like this episode. I enjoyed it. I don't think it's perfect by any means, but I think that I do like I enjoyed watching it. I laughed a lot, and there wasn't a point in this episode where I was like, Jesus Christ, when is this going to end?
I think this is a great episode for the type of things season 6 can do, because you couldn't really do this episode, I don't think, in the original broadcast run. I think it helps that it's a 26-minute episode that allows for a lot of time spent just stuck with these people in this RV. I think it makes for a pretty fun bottle episode. And at this point in the series where we've only got 3 episodes left, I enjoyed the time spent with the characters this week.
Yeah.
And them bouncing off of each other, especially characters like Britta, Annie, Abed, the Dean, and Jeff, even though Jeff does some stuff that I don't like later in the episode. It meant a lot as we're nearing the end of the show to get some good quality community writing in this episode.
Yeah.
What do you think about Abed's 3 weeks later runner through the episode?
I'm going to be
We
really
start
honest.
the episode with it. Yeah.
I don't love all of it,
Okay.
but I get it. And that's why I don't have a problem with it. If that
I
makes
like
sense.
it. I like it, borderline love it. I think earlier community would have found a more satisfying, flashier, like, graphic to go
Sure.
back and forth from the different versions or whatever. I think it's a little unclear for too long that it's just imagined by Abed and that it isn't what actually happened earlier. But I think it's funny. Every time Abed, like, squeals as he's struggling to go back to 3 weeks ago, it makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like it. I definitely don't love it. And I think maybe like one less time would have been fine.
See, but I think it's good the more they do it because it keeps getting weirder and weirder each time until
Yeah.
they're in Space Elder world.
I like the one with the Dean where they went back together. I thought that was really funny. I like when they go forward to Space Elder world. I don't know. I definitely found myself at one point being like, oh, this is the part of the episode I'm not enjoying. But I didn't feel that way throughout. Like, it was maybe like one moment. Maybe it was just like
Well,
the second
I mean,
or third
in a
time.
22-minute NBC version of this episode, they probably would have cut one of these early flashbacks.
I do like, though, that we kind of get a sense that Abed's probably been doing this for the entire trip, because Jeff is pretty fed up from the beginning. Which I know we talked a little bit earlier about how Jeff's kind of an ass in this episode. I don't have a problem with anything that Jeff says or does.
He crosses a
inside
line
the
at a
RV.
point.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with anything he does while they're in the RV. I don't think anything's
Okay.
out of character while they're in the RV.
I don't really like the part later on when he tells Abed to go sit in the back by himself.
Well, yeah, sit in the back of the bus, drive the bus, do what you want. That's an Office quote, Zachary. I know you're not familiar with that show.
No, I'm not familiar with the program. Is it new?
It was a sitcom, long running on NBC, pretty popular.
not
Steve
really
Carell was on
much
it.
of a sitcom guy.
Yeah, I
over
figured.
here.
I know it's not your speed.
Not really my speed.
But yeah, I don't like him telling you for Abed to go sit away either. But I think I could see Jeff doing that.
Do you think that this episode in some ways feels like a follow-up to the Space Bus episode?
No,
I think it does.
I think that it's too different.
But in the
Space
same way that like G.I. Jeff feels like a follow-up to Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas. I think it's similar of like
Don't you
putting
ever
these
compare
characters
Don't you ever compare that swine of an episode?
But
to-
we both compared them in the review.
Yeah, we did.
Because they're like they're both episodes where a character like imagines a thing to get out of a thing, right? I think both of these episodes you put the family that we have at this moment in the series into a tight RV type situation and they go stir crazy as they're all stuck together.
Sure. But
I
in
think it
that
kinda
vein,
feels like
isn't it a successor to every bottle episode they've had? Because every bottle episode, they can't stand being together in an enclosed space.
No. This one ends with them hugging each other.
That's fair.
That's all of them.
Does Space Bus?
Probably.
Even Pierce?
One of Chevy's body doubles put an arm in the group hug scene.
Nice. Did you know, Zach, that if we were like cosmic giants and the
Sure.
Earth was the size of like a pool ball, it would be as smooth as a cue ball?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Because the highest point and lowest point on Earth are only 11 miles apart. You know that? That's crazy.
Steven, you're not telling us you're a flat earther, are you?
I'm just saying, something so smooth can't possibly be round, Zach. Water falls off of a ball, but it stays in a plate. Don't you think?
Okay, so they're driving in the RV. They're
Columbus wasn't
transporting
wrong.
a giant hand, and the dean shuts the partition so we can talk to Elroy seriously, separate from everyone else, even though everyone can hear them through the partition, about how something bad has happened here. They're running out of gas.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fun place to be when you're driving up a mountain in an RV.
No, and I get that we have to have, like, an issue that happens.
It's a little
easily
cliche.
avoidable.
Huh?
Easily avoidable issue.
Well, he miscalculated the mileage. He said it.
Because the extra weight. Well, sure. Would you really want to go to, like, nothing when you're getting to your destination?
Well, they're in the Colorado mountains. They don't have. This isn't like our modern, your modern day big city filler stations that they're used to. You get an Exxon Mobil every 120, and you just got to deal with it.
That's fair, Zach. Maybe I'm not ready for this country kind of living up in the mountains.
I like all of the Dean's interactions with everybody and all of his reactions to everything just throughout the whole episode. But how quickly he goes from like, well, look, we need to keep this between us. We're not going to make anybody panic. Immediately opens up, and as soon as someone says, are we out of gas? He's like, yes.
Yes, it's on empty. He's like, the needle's invisible. I think it's under the plastic.
I think
or the engine
tried to use it as fuel.
Now, Zach, do you know any people that are like those, like they never let their tank get below a quarter?
Well, I work out of my car, and I usually start my day with filling my tank with gas every day. So my tank is on a work week, is very seldom lower than half a tank. But It's not because I'm anal about it, because I would used to let my car run to empty all the time.
My grandma will not let hers get below a quarter of a tank.
Well, you're never supposed to let you're not supposed to just charge your battery every time it hits 20%. You gotta let it die on the side of the interstate a couple times a month just for cell phone battery health.
Exactly. I don't do that. I'm not a 0 to 100 charge person. I'm a plug it in every night so I can use it throughout the day.
When I go on a road trip, I am like, I'm not stopping to get more gas until we are out of gas.
Yeah, totally.
But on a road trip, you're at least like a couple exits away from a gas station at all times.
At any moment, yeah.
What about you? Do you live dangerously?
Yeah. I'll like use the like thing where it's like you have this many miles till empty, and I will absolutely push it to the last 20 always. But because I know I get better mileage than the car says that I'll get. So. Yeah.
The car hasn't seen a driver to your talents.
Like, I definitely, while driving to or from Indiana or somewhere one time, or Fort Wayne, one of the two, not too long ago, like, it said, like, 4 miles left before I was out of gas. Coasted.
And you made it.
I made it. Knew what I was doing.
Did you make it to the gas station after that, too?
Well, I made it to the gas station first.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, this is rousing podcasting.
Come on, it's gas talk. What a better time for gas cast?
Gas cast.
So basically, everyone's fighting. Everyone's like, "Oh, we got to plug in our phones, just in case you run out of gas. At least our phones will have charge."
I think this is actually a funny way to bring up some of the questions when we're in a situation like this in a post-cell phone world. Like, why are these people not just able to call for help? Why are these? I feel like the episode gives us a lot of reasons why they're stuck.
Yeah, which is good.
Like, a lot of reasons. Like, the battery and the backup battery died. All of their phones, like, drained the battery, so their phones probably don't have a lot of charge, and they're in a place with low signal. I love that there's, like, 4 or 5 reasons why they get stuck, and not just, oh, no, we're out of gas.
We're out of gas. Yeah.
Now, if we do run out of gas, guess who's got fully charged phones? But immediately it makes the car stall. For the love of God, stop charging your phone.
Have you ever, like, left a light on in your car or left something plugged in when the car was turned off and it drained your battery?
Yeah. many times hung out in my car with it turned on for like an hour and then been like, well, I don't want my car start.
Yeah. My favorite story of that is a friend of ours, Demetrius, and I went to go see a concert in Columbus, Ohio. We'll drive down, we'll drive back afterwards. And we were driving back, and it was a fun time. Saw Chance the Rapper. And then we're like, okay, we're both really tired. Let's like nap for an hour at this gas station in the parking lot. But we left our phones plugged in, and so we woke up at like 6 a.m. and the car would not start. And it was 6 a.m. at a gas station in the middle of either Western Ohio or very Eastern Indiana. So we were very alone and confused. But then some guy showed up and helped us. Like there was just a guy that was there that we asked.
I'll give you a jump, but
I'll give you boys
you
a
two
jump.
pretty little boys come back in my truck while I work on it.
Yeah, why don't you come sit in the warmth while I get your car started? You can keep Bubbles company. He doesn't bite.
But I do.
Yeah, so that was like the most stressful car not starting experience. But I
Yeah.
definitely have many a time left something plugged in that I shouldn't, or like just been sitting in a
I
car.
knew I should have brought my vibrator inside tonight. Damn it. My electric butt plug just needed to be charged.
I needed it charged now.
Something I want to give this episode credit for, these like extra shots of a real RV really driving through the mountains are a good touch for a sitcom that they went and did these, because obviously all the stuff with the study group was filmed on a set, but it adds a lot of realism to the episode when we do get these shots of them pulling over in an RV with a giant hand on a mountain.
The set is a very believable RV set too. Like, I mean, it's a little wide for the one that they're showing. But like for like a double wide RV, like that's a decent amount of
even
space.
just
like,
there when you go from outside to inside, it is believable.
Yeah.
And I also think they did a great job. Another one of the reasons why the episode wasn't as cheap as they thought it would be, they did a lot of really great green screen work. They said that they make an episode like this not thinking about how they have to do a ton of special effects work on the windows to make the outside look believable the whole time. And I kind of watched it pretty closely, and they did do a good job. Even when looking in like the reflection of people's glasses and stuff, they did a really great job. Other than there's like a moment or two where you can kind of see like the green hue like around someone's outline or something. This is a good cut to theme song joke. The what happened? I'm not telling you. Okay, fair. We're all gonna die. Cut to theme song. That's a good one.
Yeah, I like that. So we finally get our first flashback for real. Finally.
I actually like the otherworldly presence the flashbacks give this episode.
Yeah.
I like the runner of Abed trying to get more words out each time that they do it. It almost has, obviously I'm not putting this episode in that world, but it has some like remedial chaos theory vibes.
Sure,
it's kind of
he
like,
wish it could have gone differently.
Here's another chance. What am I going to say to change things? I even like like later, obviously we'll get, implying extra thick straps in the past will affect the present. But of course it doesn't, because this is just Abed going through a spiral.
Yeah. Now, this almost feels like, and I know a lot of people talk about having this feeling a lot. I don't get this very often. But I know a lot of people talk about, like, after they have like an argument or like a conversation or something, they think for like days about what they could have said to like influence the outcome differently and things like that. Are you one of those people, Zach, that has that feeling a lot after an interaction? You're like, oh, I could have told that guy to suck my butt, and it would have really shown him.
I do some of that, but I do a lot more of the opposite, where I like run through imaginary scenarios in my head. Like
you do a Doctor Strange.
Like if I ever did have this conversation with somebody, what would I say and what would they say? And it's asinine because it never happens.
Get ready.
Yes.
So you're prepared for when the Infinity Gauntlet gets stolen by Thanos. And
what about you? You don't seem like the type of person that gets too caught up in stuff like that.
No, not really.
Not to say that you have a reason to either, but you seem pretty, if people like you, they like you. If people don't like you, they don't like you.
Yeah, for me, as long as the people that I care most about have a favorable opinion of me, then
we don't.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm in a constant state of misery. But I know there's nothing I can do to change that.
Right,
so
which is freeing in a way.
Yeah.
There are some stretches of this episode that just doesn't lend itself to the type of analysis that we do, because there is a lot of hanging out of the RV, which is a lot of fun, and I like watching it. I like Frankie and Annie like tag teaming the roadside service phone numbers, and
You
I
think
like.
you think some truth to this, Zach? You think if you just hang up every time and call back, it's worth it, or should you just stay on hold?
No, I don't think that.
Because you have to start the process over.
I think your best bet is always to see if they also have an online chat version, and to call and chat at the same time, and whichever one like answers first, hang up on the other one.
Now that's clever, Zach. I haven't tried that. Wow, I didn't realize how early in the episode this was.
The Armed Forces Day riff?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Is Armed Forces Day something you have ever known or paid any credence to?
I mean, I know it exists.
I feel like I've seen it on the calendar as a bank holiday, but that's it.
But I don't really like...
Is it a bank holiday? Are the banks closed for Armed Forces Day?
It's on a Monday. But I don't think it's like the same kind of thing. I used to have to play it all like the things. All the like...
Was Armed Forces Day when... But that'd be for Veterans Day.
Yeah.
Not Armed Forces Day.
It's true.
Because nobody knew that existed.
Well, because it's Armed Forces for like the current people that aren't here because they're somewhere else serving the military. So we just are like,
And do you have to have arms, or can you be armless?
That seems like a pretty like...
Are they going to let me in with one arm, or am I going to need to take my decoy?
Well, you're one-armed, but you're not...
Armless.
Exactly. The armless forces...
It's people who have served that have arms.
At least one.
Yes. I don't think we did a convo for that, and that's sad. We should have.
We should have.
The arms deserve it.
Yeah. I don't really like America all that much, so I have a really hard time getting into holidays that like celebrate that. Now I have no issues with like, you know, the troops, because I think that, you know, people that do want to protect our safety at home, that's all well and good, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna wave around a flag. You know what I mean?
Here's what I'm saying. I don't give a about the armed forces. I think
the Navy's pretty gay. That's fun.
I think the armed forces are predatorial as shit. And they're a necessity, but I think they do a lot the wrong way. And I think they have way too much money.
Hey there, poor boy. You want a Mustang?
You want free college and get laid every night? They
Not
don't
by
tell you
choice,
it's by
though.
other boys who have joined the armed forces. But my thought is, like, there are things I like about America and that I live in America and freedoms that we have because we live in America. And I wish there was a way for me to... I hate so much that the idea of patriotism and of the American flag has really become a descriptor of a certain demographic.
Yeah,
and
isn't that wild?
It would make me feel embarrassed to fly an American flag. And I'm not the type of personality that probably would anyway, but I feel like that's not right.
Yeah, it's interesting, you know, and I didn't realize it as much until I lived in another country. And I was like, oh, so you can like your country, but admit what's not good about it, and that's okay, other places.
Yeah. We haven't figured that one out quite yet.
We're working on it.
But on the other hand, we're two idiots that are on this podcast that can say all this without any fear of repercussion.
Yeah.
You know that doesn't fly over in Canada with your free health care. Don't think so.
Yeah. Trudeau's not going to stand for that.
What's your pretty boy going to do about that one?
Yeah, look handsome.
I really like this episode setup, and I think it's dumb if people are like, well, what's the point? This is a pointless episode. The Dean would do this.
Yeah,
and they would all be roped in into
the
helping
Dean
move
spent
it.
like however many $1,000s on a goddamn virtual reality thing that they then had to like break him out of.
Oh, but it's not a sequel episode, though. It's not a sequel episode, though.
Not to
That's you.
the...
That's how
not
you sound.
to the space
That's
bus.
how you sound.
I'm talking about lawnmowers.
Oh, that's true. Never mind. So it's a sequel to that episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Exactly.
To that community classic VCR maintenance and postnatal care.
I think you're thinking of lawnmower maintenance.
Okay, so in this scene, the Dean says that if it came to it, that biologically it would make the most sense to eat Annie first.
Yeah.
Do you think that's right?
Yeah.
You do? Why?
Do I need to get into it?
Yeah.
Well, Abed is all bones. Dean is all bones. Jeff
I feel
is
like
all
it's
muscle.
Elroy. And you think that
It'd be between Elroy and Annie.
You think that Annie is less like skin and bones than like Britta?
Yes.
Or even Abed? Like, I think she's as much like bony and not a lot of meat.
But Annie has boobs and a butt.
Sure, but everyone does? Well, not boobs. Well, depends on what circle you run in.
Yeah, but if you're looking who has the most amount of non-muscly fat tissue on their body, Annie
that's
would
a
make
good
the most
point.
sense.
Non-muscly fat tissue.
Exactly.
Because I do feel like Elroy has more meat, but
Elroy
I do think
has its muscle.
I do think that Keith
Frankie
David's
has some
packing
muscle.
some hog in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it makes sense to be Annie.
The Dean, though. No, the Dean's ripped.
Dean
He's
is
like
all
surprisingly
muscle.
ripped. But so.
And who's going to help the least in a survival situation? You don't need Annie because you have Frankie.
You think that Britta's gonna help more?
No, but I think if you have to choose who you're going to eat, you pick Annie.
I disagree.
Who are you eating? Britta?
I'm eating Elroy or Britta probably.
I don't know. I don't want to eat somebody who's going to help me in a survival
It's only partially
situation.
sexual. That's
And
my real
Elroy has
answer.
knowledge of the RV. He's useful to keep around.
And look where that's gotten us. He's got to
Well,
go.
It's not his fault that the battery
And
died.
I'm done arguing about this. Obviously, you eat Elroy. It's just obvious.
Because he's black?
And he's old. He doesn't have a lot to live for.
Have you seen the cape? He's in great shape. He can do magic, I think, was the point of the show, right?
I think so.
He's like a circus magician.
He did Cape Magic.
Yeah. There were some smoke bombs.
What do you think about this moment here? Abed mentions out loud maybe we didn't need the flashback thing, and Jeff goes on his little show rant. What do you think
That's
of it?
fine because it's true. Abed did used to be like, we're in a show, and then he was like, fine, we're not in a show. And he's like, so what the is it, Abed? Are we in a show, not in a show? Now's not the time for this. I'm okay with all that.
I do kind of like Abed has this like shit-eating grin on.
Yeah.
When he's like, season 2 you mean? I don't know. I can change my mind.
And I kind of like how everyone kind of buys into it, and they're like, so this is the show?
The one gripe that I do like that Jeff gives is when he's like, well, can we stop making the show about if it's a show because dumb?
Yeah.
And Abed, you're dumb.
You're dumb. Have you seen Stranger Than Fiction, Zach?
Yeah, it's a pretty good movie that's a little hammy and doesn't hold up as much as it did when I was 12 and first saw it.
I'm sure. I haven't seen it since then.
It's an interesting idea.
Have you seen The Truman Show?
Yeah, Truman Show's obviously better.
Yeah. I've only seen Truman Show once.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind?
I have, yeah.
That's a good one.
It's a pretty good one. It steals a lot from an anime movie, but it's good.
All stories are the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, in specific shots, but it's fine.
Oh,
I like
really?
Oh, no, I'm thinking of Requiem for a Dream takes a bunch from that movie.
Oh, I haven't seen Requiem for a Dream, but I've heard it's really uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, me too. I like Eternal Spotlight. I like Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, though. It's a good picture.
The whole show argument feels like an argument happening in the writer's room that they just wrote down. Because Annie being like, oh, so now it's a show about this? And then everyone
And they're
kinda
like,
gets
fine,
quiet.
bring the meta stuff back.
It is funny the moment that Jeff and Abed have that's so, like, they're so fit to these roles and these arguments. So Jeff's like, fine, you can come back. Not good to have you. Not good to be back. And then everything's fine just like that. And Frankie, who's still relatively new, is like, what just happened?
Yeah, that's really funny.
What do you think about Jeff undermining Elroy with trying
I thought
to
this was kind
know
of
more than
annoying.
him? It was kind of annoying.
Like, I didn't think it was funny enough,
To do it as many times as
Yeah.
they do? I agree with that. That's one of the few things that kind of made me roll my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least, like, the Jeff Abed stuff is hard to watch, but is captivating. This is just kind of boring.
What do you think the Annie line, the Abed, we're on your side, so if you're also on your side, it's kind of petty.
Are they all on his side? I don't think they are.
Yeah, I didn't really get that either.
I think he's very misunderstood by the people who are supposed to know him the best.
Yeah, but they're all against Jeff right now because he's sounding like a prick to everyone.
Right. So Elroy gives the rundown about the batteries. how they drained one of the batteries and the other battery might be worth something if they don't do anything with it. But it's looking like they're going to be stuck where they're at for some time.
At least for now. But there's a solution, Zach, so you can switch the batteries. I did think this part was funny when he was like, and it goes without saying, we've all learned to stop charging our phones.
Everyone looks at each other dead silent. Why are you all looking at each other like that? And where are each of your phones now? At least nobody's rushing off to get their phone right now. That's reassuring. Keith David gets a couple of pretty long runners to go on in this episode, and he always does it so well.
Yeah. I like the line that somewhere there's a cartoonish vampiric orgy of devices all plugged into one outlet.
And there is. We're about to see it. There's a hairdryer involved
Yeah,
somehow.
there's a hairdryer there.
My guess is like the hairdryer has like an outlet into it that makes it like an extension cord of sorts. But yeah,
So
the battery is
there's a
useless
few,
because
like,
everyone's charging their phone. Yeah.
Wiring issues with the place I live.
Uh-huh.
And one of them is that I can't use like their microwave and toaster oven like plugged in at the same time, or like the power will go out. And
That seems
sometimes
very big city living.
yeah, and sometimes just one of them will like if I use the toaster oven like at a like temperature degree instead of just the toast setting, the power is almost guaranteed to shut off. And last night I was making popcorn with the microwave, and I guess I had it on for too many minutes in a row because boom went off.
Too
And I had to
many
repop
minutes.
my popcorn, burn
Can't have
some
that
of
many
it,
minutes. That
just
sucks.
get it popped. I was pissed. Yeah, that's the only downside.
I will say, of an episode that's full of Killer Dean stuff, I could have done without the cricket riffing, honestly, a little.
Yeah.
Just
if
because,
he had just made
because
one
it's
joke,
like
it would have been funny.
Dean overkill at that point. We've got so much good Dean in this episode, they could have let that slide.
Yeah, I would have been fine if he makes the first joke and that's the end of it. Instead, he makes like two more that aren't really that funny.
Meanwhile, Abed trying desperately. He looks like he's going to give himself an aneurysm, or at the
Yeah.
very least poop his pants a little bit trying to cut to 3 weeks earlier. But this is funny. Just, again, how I love the ridiculousness of the idea behind this episode and how, for whatever reason, they have to explain why it's the idea. All you need to see is every time everyone around the study table, picture of giant hand, all in favor, yes, that's it.
Dean looking sad. Yeah.
I do like the ways in each flashback that Jeff ends the meeting and keeps Abed from saying what he's trying to say.
Yeah. I do like when Elroy's like, I'm scaling the blanket rations by like how much wattage you used, and then gives Britta a fucking washcloth. That's hilarious.
And then when he gives her the bigger blanket and covers her with it, it was very Arrested Development season 5.
Yeah.
When for an entire episode, Lindsay's covered by a blanket because Portia de Rossi is very much not there.
So funny. So now we have the opposite of the normal bottle episode for Community. Instead of everyone going around right now and saying why everyone else is bad, because we already did that, we're going to go through and talk about why everyone's sorry. And that's
Good point.
nice.
And some of them are nice, especially Elroy's.
Yeah.
Even Abed. I'm sorry I've been unavailable. I've been really trying to cut to 3 weeks ago.
Britta's was so fucking funny. Sorry if it seemed earlier as though he drove through a skunk patch.
And
like
everyone
you were
knew exactly
smoking
what she
pot.
was doing and nobody cares, but it's very stoner to be still trying to cover up that you're smoking weed and thinking that you're getting away with it, but no, you are not.
No, and that's the thing that like I feel like we still like will never learn is that everyone always knows when you're high.
Or just that if you smoked weed, you smell like weed.
You smell like weed.
For a while.
Yeah. No matter how much Axe body spray you put all over yourself or you change your clothes, you can shower, there's still going to be some weed.
No 17 to 25-year-old guy is coming into the Taco Bell at 1 a.m. smelling fresh of cologne just because.
Oh.
But I think what's important to understand is, one, yes, everybody knows you just smoked weed and are high, and two, nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
They probably are too, or wish they were.
Yeah. That's one of the great things about living in Chicago is everyone's just high all the time. It's truly like that episode of Family Guy where like they legalize pot and then like everyone is just chill.
And in the
A lot
episode,
of
isn't that
Chicago's
kind
like-
of like the lesson for why it shouldn't happen? Because everybody gets too high? Do they do that?
I don't know.
Yeah. We'll save it for the 4th edition of America's Next Top Zach and Steven Rewatch
my God.
podcast. The Cleveland Pod.
Woo! Gotta do the black one.
I do like the Abed. When people cut to flashbacks on TV, they're not traveling through time, dip ass.
That line's really funny.
Annie kind of kicks off some of the fake apologies when all she apologizes for is not bringing, or like asking people what snacks they wanted her to bring.
You know, I like Annie in this episode. She has a
doesn't
very
make me that
small
bad.
role, but I
Sure.
like Annie. I enjoy her in this one. Like she serves her role that she needs to for this episode very well.
It's so funny. Frankie like says that she's been kind of dropping the ball and apologizes to everyone. And the way that the camera pans over to the dean while everyone else looks at the dean, because it's very clear that the dean has something to apologize for, whether it's the situation they're all in right now or just his general badness.
Yeah.
And he just is so unaware. He's like, I forgive all of you guys. And this is leading to probably the best moment of the entire episode, where we get the dean's kind of breakdown scene.
I do like this one a lot when he's like,
flashback.
okay, and he's like trying to fit in like the whole explanation of why we need a flashback.
Well, since the bad thing happened at the end of the first act, we have to do this at the end of the second act. We can't have another disaster. Or something even worse has to happen. This is literally just dialogue out of the community writer's room, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And then he's the only person at the table saying it. It's a good point. Even though they made him move the hand, the dean didn't take charge and say, I liked the hand. We should leave it. If you had, like, been a man and stood up for yourself, maybe we wouldn't have been here.
But also the dean just shouldn't have bought the fucking hand in the
Very
first
true.
place. Because I'm sure he didn't use his money. That's why it's their problem. If it was just, Craig Pelton's account, but I'm sure he bought it with school money for some reason.
I love that Jeff calls out the dean, too, when he's like, I'm sorry, I'm a bad dean. Because there have been other times earlier in the series when he does that, and everyone's like, no, you're a great dean. But we're way past that. Jeff's like, that does not count. You say that every time. Mm-hmm. I kind of like the demanding Jeff in this when he's like, Abed, shut up. You cut the stuff.
I have
Dean,
no problem.
You apologize.
With in the
We're not
RV,
to the bad
Jeff.
stuff yet. But the bad stuff in the end of the episode,
Pretty bad.
pretty solid. Pretty strong. It
You
leaves a
can't make
taste.
me not cry.
I love how fast he goes from I will say I'm sorry however I want. And you know what? I'm not sorry. I love the giant hand. How fast he goes from crying to angry and storming out. Frankie's line is really funny. This is exactly like crate training a puppy. Everyone resist every urge to go and let him sleep in bed with you. Just let him go.
Yeah, I don't really think that the Annie, cold. No, I mean cold in the RV. I don't care how we treat the dean tonight. That could have been written a little bit better, but...
Yeah. I like the Abed and Dean scene outside. First, I think it's just a nice change of scenery to have them climb up on top of the RV. I think this is a really well shot episode.
Yeah, I think so too.
The Deans, you're not coming out here to still be mean to me, are you? Because I can't cry anymore unless somebody brings me a Pedialyte.
That's so funny to me. I think that's hilarious.
It is funny how easily the hand doubles as a couch.
It's adorable.
The moment when they're bonding, kind of, and the dean says, you get it, Abed. You know what's important about the hand. But that was never it. Nobody cares about the hand. And as they're talking about stories, they fall a little bit, and one of the straps breaks, and they're about to fall off the top of the RV because they're losing the grip of the hand. The hand is releasing, just like hands always do. And Abed trying to get the dean to calm down and close your eyes and flash back with me is a really funny moment. And the dean being like, what? No. And then being like, okay, I'll try it. And then we see Abed's flashback, and it really makes you think that then we're going to cut away, and the dean did have that flashback with him, and there might be extra thick straps now. But of course the dean didn't share a flashback with him. Abed's just imagining something that happened with the dean in it. The dean doesn't know what happened.
No, he's like, extra thick straps, extra thick straps.
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. Like, the dean is not conscious of this flashback.
No.
Only Abed is. So then we cut back, and we expect the dean to be like, extra thick straps. But no, of course he doesn't know. He's still like, what just happened?
No, I don't remember, because it didn't happen.
It didn't, and then they fall. I like Britta trying really hard to not be the stupidest person in the room. And Annie, did something just fall off? And the question's not did something fall off, but what fell off? Which is the dumbest question because
I think high Britta is always very funny.
I like Britta being stupid because she's high way more than Britta being stupid because she's stupid and bad at stuff.
And I also think that Gillian does a really good job of portraying somebody who's stoned and out of it versus somebody who's drunk and out of it. Because drunk Britta is not always the most believable.
For Gillian Jacobs, an actress who has never drank or smoked anything.
Exactly.
I love all the easy turns on a dime that the characters make towards each other, from I'm sorry to I'm not sorry to we love you, Dean, to screw you, Dean. Is really funny. It's like these people love each other, but don't they just kind of hate each other at this point?
Yes. Huckenberg's like, I call the hand. The fiberglass will preserve body heat.
We've got to talk about this moment. The long, prolonged shot of Britta squeezing through the hand and Gillian's face is so funny. It's something hilarious. That you can only do on Yahoo Screen, where you've got an extra 15 seconds to linger on her being silly like this. What do you take of Jeff saying this is hot? Do you think it's hot? I think Gillian Jacobs
most
is always
things
hot,
involved with Gillian Jacobs will inherently be hot. Yes.
I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah. So far, Jeff's okay in our book, I guess, this week. It's just until he really crosses that line. Which is why, like, I think whereas sometimes we're 18 minutes into this episode and we still have another 10 minutes left. We're on the, coming towards the climax now, and I think that everything to this point I've enjoyed quite a bit, and most of what's still to come I still enjoy. Like, I think this is a really good episode. I'm surprised
we're back
this
in this episode to some of the other seasons of Community where, yes, a couple of episodes have some like weird lines or character decisions that don't quite make sense, but that's every episode, and it's like indicative of the time it was written. It's indicative of the group of people that put it together. But the rest of the episode, the concept of the episode, the execution, and the acting is all very, very solid. The writing is very solid in this episode.
Yeah, agreed. Nice uncontrollable question mark, Britta.
Dean, we're sorry, and we love you.
And this is where it gets a little bit over the edge for Jeffrey.
I do like, though, the Dean announcing that Abed's the only human out of any of you, and I know that that's a little weird to say because, no offense, Abed, and Abed says none possible.
None possible.
The Dean has no way of offending Abed.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because Abed can't be offended, or because he doesn't see the Dean as someone that can that he always sees himself as above the Dean? So
I think he always sees himself above the Dean. Because Abed has been offended before. He's had his feelings hurt. But not by the goddamn Dean. Are you kidding me? That guy bought a giant hand.
Okay, so run us through the Jeff stuff here. What's Jeff doing?
So Jeff, I think that it's funny when he makes like the football metaphor and Abed's like, sure. Thanks for reaching out to me with my favorite pastime, sports and sarcasm, which I love. I'm great at. But then Abed's like, I kind of f***ed up. I did this like flashback thing. It didn't work. And I haven't really given a shit about any of this story. He's like, what's this about anyway? A bunch of people in an RV?
And I had to Christopher Nolan it. So yeah, Jeff tries to talk Abed into going to the Dean and talking to him like a person and helping them get out of the situation. But when Abed just uses what Jeff gives him to go deeper into his thing, it makes Jeff really mad.
And he hits him. He smacks him in the face. And it's like, get your head out of that. I don't like that.
I don't
like that nobody jumped in and was me like, Jeff, what the is wrong with you?
That's often my problem with this show.
You can't hit. He can't hit.
Not that people make shitty decisions like this, but that there isn't a chorus of people to say that was bad.
Yeah. Because if he hits Abed and they're like, Jeff, what the hell is wrong with you? Get your hands off of him.
The moment when Abed's saying, I don't know what's real, seems genuine.
And Jeff is like grabbing him like a fucking like high school bully.
You like this. You
have to be lying. You enjoy this.
Just textbook how not to treat people with any type of neurodivergence or with any type of mental health issue or mental disability. Just literally textbook how to send someone into a spiral. He's literally just gaslighting Abed in the worst way.
Yeah, Frankie's the only one who's like, what the is your problem?
Frankie is playing the part here that Britta played in Troy's last episode, where she can't quite get on the same wavelength as Abed. She doesn't totally understand Abed, but she's willing to like try to play in his sandbox to try to help him out instead of just alienating him further like Jeff is.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of when I lose track of the narrative thread. When we're going to Space Elder and what Abed learns from it.
30, I was right.
A little convoluted. 3, clear is the freckle on my scrotum. 3.
Oh, wow. I know it well. I have no issue with this.
I don't have an issue with it. This is just at the point when like I'm like, okay, this is bananas and I'm here for it.
Yeah.
What are you guys talking about?
Britta's like dyed white eyebrows are a lot to digest. I'm here now, child. I will be made right.
Shades of Abed as Jesus again.
Love it.
And now Space Elder Abed is able to come through to current Abed and to give the winger speech for the episode, which is nice to see Abed, even if it's kind of like a few degrees of separation, to see him be the guy who kind of solves the problem after kind of causing a lot of the problems. It's his arc.
Yeah.
Do you think there are good bits of philosophy to pick up in this speech, or is it kind of just gobbledygook to you? Because it is.
It's a little bit gobbledygook. I don't think there's a whole lot in there.
And follow-up question, is gobbledygook something I shouldn't say?
I think as long as you pronounce it gook, you're okay. But I think you add a different vowel sound in there, it might sound a bit derogatory.
Gook?
I think you're still safe with gook.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we covered that. Yeah, I think the it's of all the season 6 moments that lead to a hug and it doesn't feel earned at all, this one feels earned, but the 30 seconds before it, they're just kind of like, okay, something sweet. And then the Force Ghost in the background, Padgett giving Abed a thumbs up. You did well, Space Elder Abed. The way that Britta does her weird fist thing and Abed makes like a shocked face and then like a nod, like I know what you're telling me to say. And then, yeah, you didn't really even notice that Elroy was gone for as long as he was, but it's literally because Keith David couldn't be on set for one of the days this week. So he comes back. He just took a really long shit. That's so funny. He's like, I'd be lying if I said I didn't poop. And Annie says, could you lie then? And he smiles real big and says, sure I could.
Sure I could.
And they all walk inside the RV. Whoa, what the f*** was that?
I slapped you, man. I don't remember hearing that.
I don't remember hearing that either. So it's like the shot of them all walk into the RV. The hand is on the side of the ground. We're about to cut to the 3 days later. And Jeff acknowledges that he did that to Abed just by saying, I slapped you, man.
Yikes.
That is not an apology. And we also, I don't think, hammered home how awful and unlikable the line where Jeff says to Frankie, like, you try to get through to him without abusing him.
Jesus.
That's horrible.
That's real bad.
I like the upbeat music that they play for the flash forward. It definitely signifies the feelings you get at the end of the movie when it's got a happy ending and we cut to a little bit later and there's happy music playing, and now Daddy Daycare is its own huge business. It's not just in a house anymore. And the mean lady is just a crossing guard now.
I love Daddy Daycare. Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Steve Zahn.
They're all resolving their story, laughing, having a good time, and we get to learn almost what Chang's been up to this whole time. They said on the commentary Ken Jeong wasn't in this week's episode because he was filming the pilot for his show that he did right after Community, Dr. Ken.
Oh, nice.
Do you know very much about Dr. Ken?
I never saw an episode, but
I watched the first couple episodes, and it was the type of laugh track sitcom that wasn't very funny to me. But it's noteworthy because it had a bunch of like community reunions.
Oh, that's cool.
Literally, the last episode of Dr. Ken is about Ken's character getting the role on a show like Community. And in that episode, Dan Harmon, Allison Brie, Eric Charles Nielsen, and Richard Erdman show up as like the table. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So like that's kind of neat at least.
That's super cool.
But
maybe
anyway,
for like the Patreon, we'll like watch an episode or something.
Chang shows up for. We should watch like just that episode, even though it's
Yeah.
the last episode. Chang shows up to see what he's been getting into all week, and he's covered in feathers. And everyone looks at each other, then at him. Where were you? The reason I'm covered in feathers is because. And then we cut to what they decided
Keep
to
a
do
loose grip.
with the giant hand. I don't know if this is a satisfying ending to the giant hand.
No.
If anything, the thing that it says on the wristband should have been specifically from like Abed's speech or something.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is exactly, but it felt like a weird tagline. Mm-hmm. But it is kind of a cute way to end the episode. I like the idea that they kept the giant hand and now it's like a signifier.
A thing, yeah.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I think it would have been funnier if they like cut one of the fingers off really poorly and then put it outside the wood shop. That's kind of a funny joke.
And now we're at the end tag. I f***ing love this end tag. It's just
It's so
hilarious. Community's so good at like taking these little jokes from the episode and being like, but what if that was real? What if there really was this guy who's trying to buy this giant hand and now his day is just ruined because they're not showing up? And what if the reason he needs it so bad is to help grab his regular sized son that's been
from the
missing
sky.
floating in the sky for years on a giant kite? It's genius.
It's so funny. Again, it's Blake with
With a B.
Yeah, like, I don't have a lot to like comment on during it. It's just so funny. Like I think it's just hilarious.
What makes it so funny is how seriously it's played. That's what just makes it hilarious. When it pans over and you see the giant watch and you still don't know the sun thing, but you just know exactly where this is going.
Yeah.
Him and his wife fighting is really funny. It kind of has shades of Vince Gilligan's in tag a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What am I going to do with the giant watch? I don't know.
I don't plan for failure.
Does everything you do for this family have ... And he so like nails it on her. Finish your thought. Does everything have to do with me purchasing oversized items on the internet?
It's not about a giant hand or a giant watch.
Please don't.
It's about a normal-sized son who disappeared. It's all my fault.
Yeah, we could literally just read this.
Yeah.
It's so
Because I
fucking
gave
funny.
the giant kite, chucks the glass of scotch to the
So we
picture of the
noticed
boy
the
holding
picture-
a giant.
The giant
rope.
string.
Moments before the kid f***ing blew away. Yes, how could you not make that connection? The reason our son is dead. Disappeared! Never found his body on the ground.
Jesus. He's waiting for a better daddy with a bigger hand. Aren't we all?
Truly.
Like Communities does so much for us, but if he had a slightly bigger hand,
Oh, my dream.
we'd be talking.
So then why the watch?
I thought it would look really cool.
I'm going to walk the dog and eventually leave you.
That's the end tag.
Oh, it's so funny.
We're to the point where the rest of the end tags in season 6 are genius, and this is kicking it off very well. I love
so
this
good.
end tag very much. I like this episode a lot. It was kind of a lighter one to talk about, but it's
Yeah.
one of my favorite ones that we've watched in a few weeks for sure. I had fun.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed talking about it, like you said, more than the last few, and I'm excited to see what
The next 3
what
are
I
so
have
good.
promise of like an excellent goodbye from Community for now. An
So
excellent swan
good.
song.
I'm very excited, and I can't believe it, Steven. We've got 3 episodes
That's
left.
nuts.
That's so
crazy.
cool. It's so cool.
Look at us.
Well, MVP this week. My brain's gone a bunch of different directions. I think, it's hard. I do think I'm going to stick with the whole time I've been feeling. I'm going to give it to Abed. I think Abed has a good episode, and I think the fact that it ends with him giving the winger speech gives him a lot of points. I think the 3 weeks earlier, or 3 days earlier, or whatever, I think that runner is really funny. Frankie is my honorable mention. I almost thought I should swap the two, but I'm going to stick with Abed. What about you?
Frankie is for sure my honorable mention this week. I do like the Dean's episode. I don't think he gets too whiny for me. I
Oh,
think
the
it's all
Dean is an
funny.
honorable mention as well.
Yeah.
How could I forget? He's so funny.
But my MVP was Abed as well. I think this is a great Abed episode. I really liked Abed throughout the entire episode.
And especially in a season where Abed's kind of been in the background, this is an episode that does regress him a little bit, but in a way that's a little bit more interesting than other times when they've done this. I like it. It's a good Abed episode. And that is we're going to wrap this up for this week. That's our review on Basic RV Repair
20 seconds.
Palmistry. 20 seconds. A+. Next week, we're going to be back to talk about the final paintball episode, Modern Espionage. I'm very, very much looking forward to this episode. You've never seen it.
For it. Never seen it.
I think you'll love it. I was telling you earlier, there's a specific moment, and if you've seen the episode, you know what I'm talking about, where Jeff does a thing, and then it's revealed to be something else, and it's f***ing hilarious. And I can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to dive into it. That's going to be a lot of fun. But in the meantime, let's wrap things up here. If you like what we do here, if you want to help support us and take the show further and to take us beyond and above community in the future, patreon.com/can'tdisappointpodcast is your home for supporting us with money and also getting all kinds of content that I think is equal to the content we're putting out on the community feed every week, all the time. And you get early access to this show, every week.
Every week.
Steven, where else can the people find us?
If you want to really get, like, up in our septic tank on the RV, RVs have septic tanks, I think,
They
right?
sure do, buddy.
You can come follow us over on Twitter.
Just
over at You Can't Disapod.
unload your septic tweets all over us.
If you want to get a gander at what we're looking at out of the driver's windows.
Huh?
What's the windshield? Out of the windshield. Go follow us on Instagram
or like the rear view mirror?
Podcast.
Are you thinking of the side
windshield?
view mirrors?
I'm thinking of the windshield.
But the windshield, I think you're just thinking of windows.
Yeah.
The windshield is the front.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. That's what the
Okay.
driver's seeing. And then if you really want to, like, I don't know, if you want to take a nap, maybe a weed-soaked shower in the back of the RV, you're going to want to follow us over on Facebook and YouTube under the whole name of the show, You Can't Disappoint a Podcast. You'll get exclusive video content as well as a chance to stay up to the minute with what we got going down. If you're new to the show and haven't seen all of our backlog stuff, there's some cool interviews on both of those sites. YouTube probably the easier one to find it on, but go check those out so you can see our handsome little mugs grinning and smiling with some community friends.
Also, I want to go ahead and plug, because we don't often enough, to rate and review our podcast wherever you'd like. Apple Podcast, you can now review.
How many stars did you give me?
5? How many would I give you today or in general?
How many stars am I?
3.5.
Okay.
The same as Bullet Train was.
Well, Bullet Train has Bad Bunny, and he so...
All right, well, everyone from inside the Dreamatorium, Black Lives Matter. Remember, everyone, even though there's a toilet in the RV, do not, under any circumstances, take a shit, because it's going to make it real uncomfortable for everyone else the whole trip. I'm Zach.
Poop outside like Elroy. I'm Steven.
We love you very much, and we will see you next week.
Don't flood it! Don't flood it!
If I fall, would you take my car back? If I fail with a test, would you know what is best? Be my friend, be my love, follow me to get lost all the time. If I die, will you cry in my eyes?